So number one, again, I know you guys could come up with the answer thinking what number, take away 8 is 17. Oh, 25 take away 8 is 17. Okay, I know that, but I want to see some work here. Same thing on the next quiz that we have. I need to see some work. Where's the D at? The D is on the left side of the equal sign. You want to get the D by itself. You don't want this minus 8. To get rid of something, you do the opposite. So to get rid of a minus 8, you're going to put a plus 8 right below it. A negative 8 plus 8 is 0. It cancels out. It's 0. What you do to one side, you must do to the other to maintain the balance. So plus 8 over here. And that's where the D comes down, the equal sign comes down, and 17 plus 8 is 25. So there's your answer, D equals 25. Remember, the goal is to get the D by itself on one side. Number 2, the V is right here. I need to get it by itself. I don't want this plus 12, so I'm going to get rid of it by doing the opposite of adding 12, which is minus 12. That'll cancel out, but it's off balance right now until I do it to the other side. So if I subtract the 12 on the left side of the equal sign, I must subtract 12 on the right side. So the V is left over, the equal sign comes down. If you owe 5 and you owe 12, you're going to owe 17, and that is your answer. So this is the work that I need to see in order for you to get credit, even if you already know the answer. I mean, it's pointless to just write the answer. I give you the answer on the back side of this worksheet. So right here, I have B on the left side of the equal sign. I do not want the minus 2, so I need to get rid of the minus 2. So I'm going to do the opposite of minus 2, which is plus 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. So I now have B equals, if I owe 11 and I only have $2, I can't pay them off. I could give them the $2, but I still owe $9. So B equals negative 9. And of course, on all of these, you could take the answer, plug it back in, negative 9 minus 2, it really is negative 11. So you could double check your answers that way. Let's go on to number 4 over here. Right here, the M is a little different. It's on the right side of the equal sign. Here's the equal sign. Normally we have the variable over here, but this is the first problem. We have the M on the right side of the equal sign. So is M by itself on this right side? No, it has a plus 71 right there. I don't want that plus 71. So how do I get rid of a positive 71? Subtract 71, that's right. Now, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other, or else it'll be off balance. So subtract 71 from this side as well. Yes, the 71 take away 71 is 0. The M will come straight down. The equal sign comes straight down. And negative 16 minus 71, that'll be a negative 87. If you owe $16, you owe $71, you owe a total of $87. Now this is correct, however, it's nicer to have the M on the left side and the answer on the right side, or the number on the right side. So M equals negative 87 is the correct answer. Number 5. Let's move on. Number 5. Again, the A is on the right side now. I want to get rid of that minus 76 by doing what, Isaac? That's right, by adding 76. So plus 76 here. That'll cancel it out. What I do to one side, I do to the other, plus 76. I need to add. Let's do that. We get a 5, 1, 9. That's 105. So 105 equals A. That means that A equals 105. Again, we're getting rid of things by doing the opposite. We're getting the A or the variable by itself on one side. Sometimes we are adding, sometimes we're subtracting, sometimes we're dividing. So to get rid of this minus 14, I want to do the opposite of minus 14, which is plus 14. Because a positive 14 and a negative 14, that ends up being 0. It cancels out. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So plus 14 over here. So yes, the Y comes down, the equal sign comes down, and negative 2 plus 14, if I owe $2 and I have $14, I will be able to pay them off. I'll have $12 left over. There's my answer. Y equals 12. Number 7. Before trying to get rid of anything, anytime I have a minus negative, I should change it to plus positive. I could rewrite my equation now. 8 plus n equals 1. So this is really 8 that I'm adding to n. So how do I get rid of the addition of 8? Subtracting 8, right? Or how do I get rid of a positive 8, a negative 8? That will cancel out. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So the n comes down. It's all by itself. The equal sign comes down. N equals negative 7. That's my answer. Again, the whole goal is to get the variable by itself on that side of the equal sign. So I have n all by itself on the left side of the equal sign. That's how I know I'm done. Number 8. I need to get rid of that 78 that's being added to the r, so I'm going to subtract 78. Subtract 78. What I do to one side, I do to the other. That's why I do it to both sides, to maintain that balance. The r comes down, the equal sign comes down, and that becomes negative 93, correct? So our answer is r equals negative 93. Let's go to number 9. Right here, f is clearly on the left side of the equal sign, and we have this stuff right here. We don't want this plus negative 3. Now this plus negative 3, it's really unnecessary. You could just think of it, how could I get rid of a negative 3? By doing the opposite, which would be a positive 3. That will cancel it out. What I do to one side, I do to the other to maintain the balance. The f comes down. Well, that's not an f, that's an r. There you go. That's an f. The f comes down, the equal sign comes down. You owe 9, you have 3, you're going to owe 6. So f equals negative 6. Finally, we get to some stuff that has multiplication. You see right here, it does not say 8 plus j. There's nothing between the 8 and the j, which means multiplication. So it really does say 8 times a number will give me 96. Now, I know we could do this mentally, but I do want you to show your work. So the opposite, or the way to undo multiplication, is to do the inverse operation, which is division. This is where you show the division bar, put that same exact value that you were multiplying by, and what you do to one side, you do to the other side. So you're dividing by 8. That way 8 divided by 8 cancels out. The j is all by itself now. The equal sign comes down, and 96 divided by 8, that is 12. So j equals 12 is the answer there on number 10. Number 11, what do I do here to get the z by itself? That's right. You have a multiplication right there. You have negative 13 times z. You do not want the multiplication of negative 13, so you're going to divide by negative 13. What you do to one side, do to the other, divide by negative 13. Right here, the negative 13s cancel. I have z all by itself. I have equal that comes down, and that ends up being a positive 3 right there. And of course, you can use calculators from here on out in this class. M is on the right side. I need to get m by itself. It really says 15 times m. So the way to get rid of a multiplication of 15 is to do the opposite, which is dividing by 15. That will cancel. What I do to one side, I must do to the other to maintain the balance. And with the calculator, 180 divided by 15 is negative 12. So the answer is negative 12 equals m, which means m equals negative 12. Again, recognize that there's multiplication right here. So the way to get rid of multiplication is with the opposite operation, which is division. Division. Calculator time. R equals 9. There's the answer. Actually, write it r equals 9 instead of 9 equals r. It's better to have the letter on the left side and the actual value on the right side. 14. I have y divided by 9. I don't want this divided by 9. I need to get rid of it by doing the opposite, multiply by 9. That way the 9 on top and the 9 on the bottom cancel out. However, what I do to one side, I must do to the other. Multiply by 9 over here. I will get y equals negative 72. That's my answer. If I did plug it back in, negative 72 divided by 9, that does equal negative 8. Let's move on to number 15. So right here I have j divided by 12. So the way to get rid of the division of 12 is to multiply by 12. So put a times 12 right there. And even better, you could put times negative 12 to get rid of that negative sign as well. So when I multiply both sides by negative 12, you will have that canceling out, j all by itself, the equal sign, and negative 8 times negative 12 is positive 96. And there's your answer. Number 17, it says g divided by 27. You want to get g by itself on this side of the equal sign, so let's get rid of the divided by 27 by doing the opposite, times 27. And of course, 27 on top divided by 27 on the bottom cancels out. G is left over, but it's off balance. What you do to one side, you must do to the other, so multiply by 27 over here. Now right here, you have the opportunity either to multiply 2 times 27 and get 54 and then divide it by 9, or you could say 27 divided by 9 and reduce this to make it a little easier. 27 divided by 9 is 3. There's no more fraction. And now you could actually do 2 times 3, which is 6. So the answer is g equals 6. So right here on number 18, I have q all by itself. I mean, not by itself. It's on the left side. I need to get it by itself. So I need to get rid of this divided by 24. So what would I do? Multiply by what?
24.
So I'm going to put times 24. And of course, the 24 and the 24 cancel out. But you need to maintain the balance. So what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So put a times 24 over here as well. Now, you could multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom, and you'd get 24 over 6. And 24 over 6 really is 4, because 24 divided by 6 is 4. Or you could have just canceled right here, right from the start. 24 over 6, that gives you a 4. So Q equals 4. That reminds me of a joke. What's 5Q plus 5Q?
10Q.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Okay. Now, let's go over some of these easy word problems that become equations that we need to solve. Number 19. Negative 9 times a number equals negative 117. That's
9x.
no, don't copy it down. Just watch. Okay. So right here, negative 9 times x equals negative 117. So we're going to divide by negative 9, divide by negative 9. And on this section, and from here on out, I'll let you use calculators. So if we go negative, on a calculator, negative 117 divided by negative 9, we get 13, positive 13. So x equals positive 13 is the answer for number 19. Number 20 is interesting. Check it out. Negative 1/8 of a number, you could put n, you could put x, whatever variable you want, is means equals negative 3/4. So what would I do here to get x by itself? Multiply by, you could say, negative 8's the best. Now let's say you don't want to do negative 8. Let's just say you say multiply by 8. That'll cancel out the 8's, but that won't get rid of the minus sign. I mean, let me just go through with this anyway. So I would have a negative 1x equals, and over here, 8 divided by 4 is 2. And of course, 3 times 2 is 6. And let's not forget about the negative sign. So negative 6 over here. I hope that made sense to you guys. And now my final step, if I didn't cancel out the negative, would be to get rid of that negative by doing the opposite, dividing by negative 1, dividing by negative 1. So yes, x would equal 6 right here. It would have been a lot faster if I would have multiplied by negative 8. That would have canceled it out and made it positive. Multiplied by negative 8, the negative times negative is positive, and you'd get 3 times 2, which is 6. So multiplying by negative 8 would be faster right there. By the way, if you guys are wondering, these questions are in your homework. So it's just, I'm making a full video on the homework. So when we write down 5/6 of a number is negative 5/9, you could get rid of one fraction at a time by multiplying everything by the denominator, which we will be applying in future problems. But on this one, I'm actually going to take this fraction 5/6 and multiply by the reciprocal 6 over 5. That way, the 6 cancels with the 6, the 5 cancels with the 5, and x is by itself on the left side. However, if I multiplied by 6 over 5 on the left side, I have to multiply by 6 over 5 on the right side. And right there, the 5 cancels with the 5, and the 6 and the 9 you could reduce by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, 9 divided by 3 is 3, so you get a negative 2/3, and that's your final answer for number 21. 22, we have 2.7 times a number times x equals 8.37. So the equation reads 2.7 times x. So in order to get rid of the multiplication of a number 2.7, I need to divide by that same exact number 2.7. And what I do to one side, I do to the other side. Divide this by 2.7. And of course, we're using calculators. So 8 on a calculator, 8.37 divided by 2.7 equals 31 over 10. As a decimal, it's 3.1. So x equals 3.1. Use a calculator. So I have done a complete video explaining every single question on the homework. I expect you guys to be able to have this completed since I did it for you. I just realized, I'm sorry, as I zoomed out, I realized I didn't do 16. So let me go back and do 16. I have A on the left side of the equal sign. I need to get it by itself. It really says A divided by 15. I don't want this divided by 15. So I do the opposite of dividing by 15, which is multiplying by 15. That makes the 15 cancel with the 15, and A is all by itself now, and it equals. However, what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So I need to multiply this side also by 15. So the 15 up here with the 15 down here cancels out. So 15 divided by 5, that is a 3 left over, right? Now if you wanted to, you could say, okay, 15 divided by 5 is 3, 5 divided by 5 is 1. You don't need to put the 1 anymore. But anyways, you do have 4 times 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. Sorry, I missed number 16. Now I'm really done.